Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this meeting of the Council of the Town of Oakville. It's my pleasure to invite everybody to stand and join Council in singing O Canada. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Now, as is our custom, I'll give our opening prayer, followed by our moment of silent reflection, and then we'll begin tonight's abbreviated meeting proper. God, grant us understanding and patience, that justice, truth, and honesty may be evident in our decisions. Make us mindful of the needs of the people throughout the town of Oakville. Help us govern with the wider community in mind, and so create in us a desire for progress and responsible action. We ask this in your name. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, do we have any regrets this evening?
There are no regrets this evening.
Council, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Thank you. You have before you the minutes of the previous council meeting on September 22nd. Are there any changes? Is there a mover and seconder to adopt the minutes? Councillor Robinson, Councillor Duddick, all in favor? Opposed, if any? The minutes are adopted. We have no presentations or delegations tonight, and there are no standing committee or committee of the whole reports listed for this agenda. We do have one important discussion item, and contained within item number 1 is some very good news that the two councillors from Ward 1 have been working to achieve for many years, and we'll let that unfold as it will. And I'll call forward Rob Lister, the president of Oakville Hydro Corporation, to give us our quarterly report and the authorization request that I'm hinting at. Mr. Lister, welcome. We are all ears.
Good evening, Mayor Burton, members of council. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to present this evening. I have with me this evening John Mitchell, who is the chair of our Finance and Audit Committee and a director at Oakville Hydro Corporation. I also have members of my management team, Jim Collins, Mike Brown, Amanda Kennedy, Scott Moody, Simon Abbott, and Vivek Radhakrishnan. So, thank you for coming. This evening, I'm going to cover off 8 topics: our priorities, safety, distribution system performance, 2014 energy consumption, Sunny Shores Solar Park, GeoExchange, community, and customers. Our priorities, this is a refresher for council. I have presented it before. Our number 1 priority is safety, no injuries, followed by distribution system reliability and service delivery excellence. We're targeting to be top quartile performance. Customer service, above industry average performance and striving for great customer feedback. Sustainability of the business, remaining strategically sound, and pursuing growth and increased profit, tracking to our long-term objectives and building a mini EPCOR. Now, EPCOR is a very successful energy company growing out of Edmonton Power in 1995. It is solely owned by the City of Edmonton, a community about 4 times the size of Oakville. From its electricity roots, it includes energy services, street lighting, water services, and power generation. The parallel we draw is a regulated, municipally owned utility leveraging its core competencies and resources to grow value and returns for its shareholder. Through the energy-related competitive businesses, we are driving to do the same for Oakville. There, okay. A celebration of safety. We've been very successful in achieving a very notable safety performance and recognition in 3 of our companies. Elcon, 250 hours with no lost time. Oakville Hydroelectricity Distribution, 500,000 hours. And GTEL Engineering, 750,000 hours. Across our company, we've accumulated over 2 million hours of no lost time. We're very proud of this achievement and have been recognized by the Infrastructure, Health, and Safety Association through their President's Awards, as you can see there on the bottom of the screen. Our distribution system performance remains strong. The 2013 results indicate that of the Canadian Electricity Association participants across Canada, our index of reliability in Oakville was 4th in Canada and 2nd in Ontario. London Hydro ranked 1st in Ontario. This is excellent performance. This year we are tracking well. Our frequency of interruptions is down. However, the duration for those experiencing interruption is slightly up. We have an increased number of underground faults which take longer to repair. That being said though, year to date, total minutes of customer interruption are down from 2.1 million to 1.5 million minutes. In preparation for next year's tree trimming program, we're having an open house for customers on November 12th at Town Hall. At this session, we'll be informing customers about our line clearing program focused on Southeast Oakville in 2015. I receive a lot of general interest questions on how our consumption is this year relative to last due to the weather differences. This chart illustrates the differences between the 2 years. Overall, year to date, consumption has increased just under 1% at 1.17 terawatt hours. You can see the impact on consumption of the colder and longer winter and the cooler summer. Offsets occur from the increase in customers, about 1,500 to date, which would increase about 7 gigawatt hours, and conservation results that year to date are about 4 gigawatt hours. As presented before, here's our Sunny Shores Solar Park. So it's 14 megawatts of power, almost 17 gigawatt hours of energy per year, 47,000 solar panels, and 143 acres of land. So this is the equivalent to supplying about 1,600 homes for a year. Now, as a comparison in Oakville, there are just over 50 solar installations for a total of about 1.3 megawatts, supplying about 1,700 megawatt hours, which equates to about 180 homes. So our solar park, 1,600 homes. The town of Oakville, not us, but the people who have some of the solar panels in Oakville, about 180 homes. With respect to electric vehicles, you'll find this interesting. Oakville has the highest penetration per capita in Canada at 82 electric vehicles. An update on our GeoExchange program. We have 6 projects on the go, ultimately supplying 427 customers with conditioned heated and cooled air in their suites or buildings. The project at our head office, the bore field, is completed and will soon be installing the heat pump equipment in the inside of the building. Here's a snapshot of some of the recent community events we have participated in and supported. The Terry Fox Run, the Halton Heroes Gala, Fire Prevention Week, the United Way Bus Pull for Change, in which we came second this year, and relative to the council team, well ahead. I do have the results for the... Did you want them on the... Sheridan College Faculty of Applied Science and Technology Academic Awards, and it's coming soon, the Santa Claus Parade with the theme of A Canadian Christmas. Here's an advertisement of our e-billing campaign. We're having a draw to encourage customers to sign up for our My Oakville Hydro and e-billing. If there's any members of council who have not signed up, please do so, and encourage your family and friends to do the same. Thank you very much, and that completes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lister. Council, are there questions? Councillor Demoff.
Thank you for the presentation, and congratulations on the safety record as well.
Thank you.
That's really commendable. The website and contacting you, where does that stand in terms of sort of upgrading how customers can reach you? Because I know there were issues last year during the ice storm in terms of getting through, and I'm just wondering if there's an update on where the website and various communications stand.
Well, I'm going to ask Amanda Kennedy to come forward and speak to that, because she's all over it. Amanda?
Thanks for the question about the website. I don't know if anybody has visited the website over the last 2 weeks or so, but we have made a few upgrades to the website that I think make communicating with Oakville Hydro a bit easier. So we've had a little refresh on the website. We're planning to look at an overall relaunch of the website and probably an overall redo in 2015. That's something that we're looking at now through our business planning process. Our Twitter account is active, and I don't know if anybody is our followers, but we do try to use that as a tool. That's happened since the ice storm as well.
And what about the phone lines? Because that was an issue last year during the ice storm where people couldn't call in they couldn't get through to Hydro. And I realized that was an exceptional event. But
Yes.
there was talk at one point of consolidating it with Service Oakville or doing, I just wonder if there's anything that's happened with that.
Okay, and I don't want to pass it on again to another person, but I wonder if you want to talk about upgrades to our phone systems.
Okay.
Mike might be better to answer that question.
Good evening. Yeah, there are several upgrades underway. We're launching an interactive voice response system in play. In addition, we have actually upgraded the number of lines into Oakville Hydro. The third area that we've explored in conjunction with Service Oakville and Service Halton is another third-party vendor for 24/7 customer response. So it's 24/7. We've had some engaging discussions with them already, and they have the ability to ramp up capably in complement with our IVR as well. So that's our current track plan. We want to have that in place. The potential expectation is before year end. We're looking at around the beginning of December, and then work in conjunction with Service Oakville to make sure we have the same information available to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for your questions. Questions over here? Councillor Elgar.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. A question on, you said there are 82 cars. How do you know how many cars there are that are electric cars in Oakville?
We actually work, it's a great question, thank you. We actually work with Plug and Drive. It's a non-for-profit association, and they work through the Ministry of Transportation. So they are given the records of all of the individuals that apply for a rebate associated with electric vehicle purchases in the province. And they use that as a requisite database that they actually send out to the members of their association. So it's embedded in that. Plus EMC, which is Electricity Mobility Canada, we're members on that group as well. And they're all tied together. So it comes from the provincial database. It's not a bad guess, but it may not be 100%, but it's probably very, very close.
That's very interesting, because I think, how would you know that? But if this is a rebate, I think you're probably pretty close to 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Councillor Khan.
Thank you very much. Can you go back to the consumption figures you were talking about, how it's gone up since 2000? Is that per capita? Does it factor out growth?
This is the actual, the chart is megawatt hour consumption, and you'll see it each month, and so it's each a each month through the course of the year. So if you were to add all those points up, you would get the total number of 1.17 terawatt hours. And a terawatt is 1,000 gigawatt, which is 1,000 megawatt, which is 1,000 kilowatt.
Okay, that's way too much information. But it's not that consumption per household has gone up.
No.
It's because it could
Correct.
also be attributed to the growth, and you can't factor that out.
Correct. You could almost assume that the consumption per house has gone down, because I indicated there's been about 4 gigawatt hours of reduction in energy consumption over the year so far. If you were to just assume we're all residential and spread that over the 65,000 or 55,000 residential customers, that would give you an idea. A portion of that's commercial, though, of course.
Lastly, as the sole shareholder of Oakville Hydro, we're very proud of our performance at the United Way pool.
Yes. Very, it was notable, yeah.
Council, you can rest on the pride of knowing that our 41-second pull was faster than the 46-second pull of the folks we were pulling against. And I ascribe the difference to the fact that they were so busy laughing at us, they forgot to pull. Councillor Grant.
Just to further defend our honor, we are talking about the fact that there were beefy hydro workers who had been working very hard through the ice storm, so they had the muscle power behind them, whereas we are us. So I think we did fairly well.
I have no response to that, yes.
All of you who played team sports will get the humor when I tell you that the United Way thanked us for coming out. See, we know who's playing team sports here now. Councillor Giddings.
Thank you very much. Question regarding the geothermal projects. I think there were 6 of them that were up there. Given what happened a couple of years ago in southeast Oakville, just curious in terms of an update in terms of any changes that are in place, or how do you go about that when you have those projects in the field vis-a-vis what happened a couple of years ago?
As a result of that incident in Oakville, in the town of Oakville, we were very instrumental in getting a bit more provincial oversight over geo-exchange drilling. There are a reinforcement of what would have been considered good practices, drilling practices. So it's not uncommon for a driller to come across gas, and it comes up through the tube, and often will get flared off the top. And the situation in Oakville, what it was is the hole was drilled, and it was not filled at that immediately. When you're doing geo-exchange, you drill the hole, and then you immediately fill it with bentonite, which then plugs up any potential leakage problems. So it really comes down to good drilling practices, which we would subscribe to.
Yes, in fact, to amplify that, Council, you should have all been very gratified by the speed with which the province enacted the regulation changes that we asked them to do to prevent that from happening again. So it's one of those cases where Council gets to feel that the province not only listened, but listened quickly. And I think that reflects this, everybody's recognition of the danger. All right, Council, if there's no other questions, I'll look for a mover and seconder for the recommendation. Councillor Knoll and Councillor Elgar. And that would include the resolution contained in the confidential correspondence. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That carries. Now, it can be revealed
Your Worship.
that...
No, I was just going to say, can you announce it now?
I'm about to, if you'll let me. Just saying. Anyway, for many years, there's been an issue with the outside storage pole yard that Hydro has operated in southwest Oakville. And as a result of Council's decision tonight, that situation, which is closer to homes than anyone would like, is now going to be rectified. And it may be that Councillor Johnston and Councillor Robinson would like to speak to this. Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the Council for passing this resolution. And we've some residents in the audience tonight to see what was happening. And I just wanted, for their benefit, to point out that the most important part of this resolution is that the rezoning of the property will drop the legal non-conforming clause. and for outside storage and bring the property into compliance with current bylaws. And that's a very important piece for the residents in Trafford.
Exactly. So, Councillor Robinson, you also wanted to speak.
Thanks, Your Worship. I would like to thank and congratulate the people that live on the street, particularly the Bradleys, for their determination to have this rectified. We've had many's too many. We've had 4 or 5 site meetings in that devastating parking lot that caused so much trouble over the years. But I do also have to thank Oakville Hydro, because they've been very cooperative and very willing and very determined to try and get this remedied as well. So from time to time, some people might think that that wasn't the case, but they did want to fix it. It was just a difficult way to do it, and they found a way, and now it's happening. So everybody is happy.
And it's good when everybody's happy. Thank you, Councillor. So that item is now dispatched. We turn to item number 2, and we thank Oakville Hydro for being here, but we won't detain you. And I'll recognize Councillor Giddings on item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like, with the agreement of council, defer this to the next meeting of council. The residents' business schedule prevented him from being here this evening, so I'd ask council to defer this to the next meeting of council.
Thank you. Councillor Giddings moves deferral to the next meeting. Councillor Bird, will you be seconding that, I imagine? Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? The item is deferred. Now, that brings us to item number 3, the notice of intention to designate 457 Smith Lane. Is there discussion of this item? Are there a mover and seconder? Councillor Duddick and Councillor Giddings, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Just waiting to see. Item number 4, notice of intention to demolish 103 Dundas Street West. Discussion? Motion? Councillor Duddick, seconded by Councillor Giddings. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 5, Lieutenant Governor's Ontario Heritage Awards nominations. The recommendation is that the nominees for the Lieutenant Governor's Ontario Heritage Awards, as set out in Confidential Appendix A and Confidential Appendix B of the report from Planning Services dated September 23rd, be endorsed. Is there a mover? Councillor Duddick. A seconder? Councillor Giddings. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And congratulations to the honorees, who we can now reveal are George Gordon and Wendy Belcher. And we'll be issuing a press release from the Office of Mayor and Council tomorrow to bring this to the public's recognition. Item number 6, the 2015 Council and Standing Committee schedule. Is there discussion? Councillor DeMoff.
Not that I have an issue with what is in the report, but I'm uncomfortable passing a schedule now for a council that is coming on board. So I know all of us hope to be here after the election, but I would think that this would be more appropriate to be done at the first meeting of the new council.
Thank you, Councillor DeMoff. Councillor Adams.
I'd like to move a motion that council endorse option 2, which is the current 4-week schedule with Administrative Services Committee and Community Services Committee held on alternate nights. And I think it's important for us to provide the schedule for our staff to be able to work towards. And if the new council wishes to change it, by all means they can change it, but I think our staff need to know where they're going to start with.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Elgar.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought Councillor DeMoff had a deferral, and that would take precedence over Councillor Adams' motion. So I think we have to recognize Ms. DeMoff's, Councillor DeMoff's motion, would we not?
Was that a motion?
Yes, it was.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Elgar seconds. All those in favor, deferral doesn't call for the vote. All those in favor of deferral? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Deferral carries. The item is deferred. That completes the discussion items and brings us to the advisory committee minutes for Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee. Is there a discussion, a motion? Councillor Johnston moves the recommendation. Councillor Duddick seconds. All those in favor? Opposed, if not, if any? It's carried. Thank you very much. So you have your information items, which have been circulated electronically. You have your status of outstanding issues. Is there any new business, a notice of motion, emergency or congratulatory or condolence matter? Councillor Demoff?
I know you recognized Councillor Bird at the last meeting, but this is his last official council meeting, so.
Well, Councillor Demoff, are we planning to cancel November 3rd?
I did check that with the mayor. I thought it was too, but
Okay.
no, we have one more go at it, so.
My apologies.
Thank you.
All righty. I guess if there's nothing else, we'll do regional reports and question period regarding town boards and advisory committees. Nothing? Council, for request for report, I'd like the clerk to pass out a request for report that I'm placing before you. The town, the Bronte Business Improvement Area, and the Bronte Village Residents Association all want to see redevelopment of key properties within the Bronte Main Street area to assure a thriving commercial area for the residents and businesses within the area and the town as a whole. Development in the Bronte commercial area is controlled by the pace at which regional infrastructure is available. Regional infrastructure capacity may be limited at this time, and improvements may only come in phases with only limited capacity available now and at any one time in the future. The town, the Bronte BIA, and the Bronte Village Residents Association all want to be assured that development that's ready to move forward and create desired economic opportunities is not constrained by having another landowner who's not ready to build, tying up access to our limited infrastructure capacity. Can I have my copy of the request for report? Thank you, Councillor. So the following request for report is offered for your consideration. Staff is requested to report to Council on development, infrastructure, capacity management policies to identify policy tools and mechanisms that could be put in place to ensure that infrastructure capacity is available to landowners on a first-come, first-served basis with consideration of who is ready to develop, and to ensure that if said development does not occur in a timely manner, that this capacity could be made available to another landowner who can demonstrate they are ready to build, to create, in other words, a use it or lose it element in Council's policies with respect to development in order to motivate timely compliance with Council's land use policy decisions and ensure orderly, controlled growth under Council-approved direction. And as I understand it, Councillors Robinson and Johnston are interested to move and second this report request, correct?
Right. I will so move, Your Worship, and I'd like to speak briefly at the appropriate time.
I think now is the appropriate, let me get a second, and then Councillor Johnston, it's appropriate for each of you if you want to speak to it.
I think that this is an extraordinary occurrence that may help solve this terrible problem that's been binding us down in Bronte for the last 2 years at least, and maybe more. I've been totally committed and involved in this. I've taken the BIA and the BVRA into Toronto to meet Mr. Goldman. I've had Mr. Goldman out here to meet the CAO. I've had the BIA and the BVRA up to the airport to meet Sobeys, and we've been going and going and going and not really accomplishing an awful lot because we weren't getting the cooperation of Mr. Goldman. This may do the job that we want, and I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor for being behind the scenes on this and initiating what we have before us this evening.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Johnston.
Thank you very much, and thank you for asking for this report. I and Councillor Robinson, as you heard, and the majority of residents in Bronte want a timely redevelopment of the core. And as the regional councillor, I will be following through with a similar request at the region. to make sure that we can move the infrastructure requests as needed. We need engaged property owners within not just Bronte, but throughout Oakville, and I believe, not absentee ones, and I believe this will encourage development we need to revitalise the Bronte core, and ask all councillors to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor
Yes, thank you. It sounds like a pretty interesting prospect. I just want to make sure that there's no financial impact to the Oakville taxpayers on this, that we would not be financing this up front and then trying to attract money afterwards.
There's no impact on Oakville taxpayers. It's a request for report. And the point of a request for report is to put options in front of you to make a decision on. But there's no intention here of generating a cost to taxpayers. As your mayor, I've been dedicated for 8 years to driving down the rate of increase of our tax increases.
So I realize that, and that's good to hear. I just wanted to make sure we hadn't changed any direction so that we could be on the hook, because we've done a very good job of that over the years. Thank you.
There's nothing in what I've written here to solicit being on the hook. Councillor Demoff.
I have a question about this just because Councillor Duddick and I have had issues in our ward where developments have sat for extended periods of time. And when we've questioned it, we've been told that we don't have the legal capacity to get things changed. So I'm just wondering how that has changed to be able to get this report.
I'm not sure anything's changed. We're asking for a report. I'm hearing you say that you haven't had the ability to move things. This request for a report asks staff to develop ability to move things. And it's framed to bring that benefit to all wards. This is not focused on one ward. And Ward 1 and Ward 2 are not the only wards that have had this issue.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that request is approved. Now, Council, that brings us to consideration and reading of the bylaws. And tonight we only have 102, the bylaw to designate Oakville Arena as a property of historical, architectural, and/or contextual significance, and 2014-119, which is the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a meeting of council. I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Lapworth and Councillor Adams, all in favor? Opposed? The bylaws are adopted. That completes our agenda. Thank you for your time and attention. It's been great working with you, and we are adjourned.